Over the last 3 weeks, San Francisco's offensive line has been abysmal. They've given up an astonishing 35 pressures, and each one of those pressures is an opportunity for Brock Purdy to end up being seriously injured. To make matters worse, San Francisco will be without their starting tackle in Jalen Moore, Aaron Banks is out for the remainder of the year, Spencer Burford is out against the Lions, and Colt McKivitz is questionable. This means San Francisco will have to turn to a lot of offensive linemen that don't really have a firm grasp of Kyle Shanahan's offense and was on another team's practice squad not too long ago, including Charlie Heck, who's graded as the 128th best tackle in the league according to PFF, which is absolutely atrocious. So if you think you've seen bad offensive line play over the last couple of weeks, I don't think this game is going to get much better, and it could even become deadly for a quarterback like Brock Purdy. And I don't really see the point of it. The season's over for San Francisco, and even if they do beat the Lions, what's that do for them? It's not like Purdy is going to grow all that much in 2 games. Sure, he may be able to pick up 1 or 2 things, maybe, but more likely, what's going to happen is you're going to just see a quarterback under constant duress, him running all game long, and hopefully not getting hurt. I don't see how that helps him as a quarterback. I've actually seen the exact opposite with many young quarterbacks. They get put under too much pressure early on in their career, and therefore their clock's sped up and their decision making is rushed to the remainder of their career, and eventually they sizzle out. I don't think this will happen to Brock Purdy, but it's something you don't necessarily need to put in harm's way if he's your franchise quarterback. So I think San Francisco shouldn't start Brock Purdy for the remainder of the year, allow him to get healthy if he is hurt in any way, and just allow him to hit this offseason running, and they should start Joshua Dobbs instead of Brandon Allen, his backup. I emphasize Dobbs over Allen because we've already seen Allen once this year, and he's clearly not the backup for the future for San Francisco. He doesn't have anywhere near the mobility of Purdy, and also makes pretty poor decisions when he's playing. Meanwhile, Dobbs can really spark your offense, whether it be with a deep throw or with his legs. I love the ability he has in both of these aspects, and to be successful for the remainder of the season, you're going to need a quarterback that can run around like Dobbs does. I mean, during this preseason, it really looked like Dobbs was the quarterback San Francisco hoped Lance to be. So by starting him the remainder of the season, I think San Francisco can really answer to themselves if he can be Brock Purdy's backup next year. In that way, there's no real loss to starting Dobbs. Let's say he goes out there, looks terrible, then at least you know that he's not your backup of the future. But if he goes out there, plays well, and wins maybe 1 or 2 of these games, you know that you have Purdy's backup. Another thing with Dobbs starting, it means that San Francisco has less of a chance to win these 2 games. And while that seems bad on the surface, I think it's going to be good for them next year in their rebuild, as by losing those games, they would fall forward on the draft board. That way San Francisco could really pick up a decent offensive lineman or whichever direction they want to go. But ultimately, these are just my thoughts on why San Francisco should be starting Joshua Dobbs over Brock Purdy for the remainder of the season, but I want to hear your thoughts. Am I just getting too lost in the sauce, or am I onto something?